What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. If it's your first time on the channel, which we have like 3,000 new subscribers, welcome. If you don't know who I am, I'm Erica Williams, author of the Smartphone Millionaire book, How to Invest in People, Real Estate, and Businesses from the Palm of Your Hand. So many of you have left really great reviews for this book on the YouTube channel. I would love if you go over to Amazon and drop them over there too. All right. So I brought in the best, one of my best co-hosts, right? Like you don't have as many shows as Andre. Andre got too many shows right now.
That's right, but I can beat him. Let's see how many he has.
Okay, so you guys already know. Through the past week, we've had on truckers, we've had on real resellers, but you know what? Everything always still revolves around real estate. So I brought her in today. But before I tell you why I brought her in, hey, talk to the audience. Tell them who you are.
Hey guys, I'm Kyara. I am 1/2 or 1/3, depending on whether or not my daughter's in the room, of Charm City Buyers here in Baltimore, Maryland.
All right, so you guys, you know Charm City Buyers, her husband comes in this Friday to talk about opportunity zones. As you come into the show, you know how we do. Drop your city, drop your state, and hit the like button. Come on in. You know, we love it. So today's show is going to be on, as we're waiting for people to come in, it's going to be on the Baltimore Real Estate, but I got some better ones. I got the government shutdown. I got moving trends, things I'm seeing in a lot of articles about moving trends and why I think Baltimore stole the CIAA from Charlotte, North Carolina. I got a lot of good topics we're going to cover today because I just think they all play into each other and what you're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years. So, all right, we got some Maryland already in the building. Hanover, Maryland, DFW. Make sure you guys are dropping your city and state and hitting the like button as you come in so I can make sure to check what we got here. We got Brooklyn in the building, DFW. Who else we got in here? Oh, yeah. Come on in.
Columbia, South Carolina.
The numbers are getting up there. We got to let Skynet know we're here. So drop it in the comments. You listen, you just don't understand. In this great, beautiful platform of Skynet, aka YouTube, we definitely want to big up the platform, and we definitely want to like make sure everybody can get this great information. This is like radio, right? We're on the radio right now.
Absolutely. It's better than radio.
Jabras, you gonna do Charlotte like that? He already talking smack, man. Charlotte never paid enough attention or didn't appreciate the CIAA. Santa Ana's in the building, California, Jacksonville, Florida, Austin, Chicago. Oh, we got people from the UK. What's up, UK butties?
I lived in London for a while in college. Love it out there. I know.
She was out there cutting out. She was out there cutting out.
Oh, yes.
We got the DMV in the building. We've got Boston checking in. We got Miami, Florida, Oakland, California. T. Kelly, when I come to Oakland, you gonna take me to all the good food spaces, or what's happening? What's popping? T. Kelly, I need bodyguards against the homeless. I heard there's a ton of homeless out there. I need to be safe.
Where is that? Where's that ton of homeless?
In California.
Oh, yeah, well.
Fort Lauderdale in the building. London is bloody cold now.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the thing on it.
Good.
I watched a thing on London, and they were doing a marathon, and they were like, people were passing out from the heat. So I'm thinking, like, how hot is it? It was like 72 degrees, girl. I was like, this is not possible.
So quick fact, when I was in London, so they it snowed right before I was coming back home. Almost got stuck in London and Paris because we got snuggled into France trying to get back to the US right before Christmas, and all over probably about 2.5 inches of snow. They just shut down like all of Europe off of 2.5 inches of snow. It was the craziest thing I've ever been through.
Oh my gosh. Fort Lauderdale in the building, Palm Beach, Florida, Atlanta. All right, we're at 52, 56. Numbers are going up. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button as you come in and dropping your city and state. So let me get to some of what I'm thinking is going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you're a busy woman. I don't want to take all your day. But here's what I see, right? So the government shutdown is going on.
Yep.
But, you know, Trump ain't no fool, right? We're not going to go too political, but you see all of a sudden they're like, hey, don't worry, everybody. The tax refunds.
Look, nobody wants a revolt. Who wants to have a whole revolt?
The EBT the food stamps are going to keep working. Now, the reason I think these are two important topics, and they're absolutely trending right now in Google, will my food stamp work? And also, will I get my tax refund? Because we're not doing the math. 40 million Americans use food stamps of all places, all races, you name it, all over the country, right? Then we have an additional almost half of, I think 75 million Americans get a tax refund of some size.
Right.
And when you have that many people, if you just think about the crossover of 75 million people with a tax refund, then you think about another 40 million not getting their food stamps not working. Yo, nobody wants that drama.
Like, no, nobody wants that type of heat on their doorstep. That's not fun.
I even say, if you think about it, like back in the 1920s, we had bread lines, right, where people would stand outside. And the reason so many, like, if you look at photos of Southern Black people, a lot of them are in the rural areas and farming. They look super healthy in comparison to some of the people that lived in the cities. Why? Because they had backyard growing food. They had chickens in their yard, and you can see the difference. And so now we don't have bread lines, but if you think about it, 40 million people on food stamps is literally a bread line. So, oh, what's up? I see Fort Worth in the building. Oh man, Angela E said, I swear we learn something new every time Kyara's on.
Oh, shout out to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela East. That's so sweet.
Yeah. Thanks, Angela. You're right though. It's so funny. I was actually in DC with Nita, actually, House Hunter 216, a couple of days ago, and she had flown in, and people in TSA were working and had to be there, and they're like, well, another day coming to work and no money. And it's like,
I want you to come to work with that same TSA attitude you had last month. That same nasty attitude, bring it on this month. I don't want to hear no sob stories.
No, they just, everyone's taking off. They're not showing up to work because they have to be there, and they know even though they're not getting paid. So they're like, you want me to come in here? I got to check to see who has too big of a shampoo to get onto the airplane, and ain't nobody going to run me my money at the end of the week. So I saw on Twitter yesterday that they're concerned that they're not going to have enough staff to be able to cover the airports. Like, the furlough is a big deal when you shut down. Luckily, it's only a partial shutdown of the government right now, but it's a big deal. Like, there's plenty of people who have to work anyway, knowing that they're not going to get paid.
Well, the thing I always think in mind is 76% of Americans live check to check, right? So some of these people, I think, are just not even the drive to work. Do you know what I mean? Like, in order to pay for them to drive to work, it's like, oh, but you guys live in, I would say, DC, Baltimore area. You guys have transit, but even so, you still got to pay to get on train. You guys,
yeah.
So I think a way bigger thing than people are like, oh, it's, Trump just wants the wall. I'm like, nah, this is a big deal. Like, one echo in our economy, it can change things.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring it up is here's to the larger point. A lot of demographic trends and a lot of population trends they're showing for this year because of tax increases in New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and California. They project like millions of people are going to move on down. And for me, people are like, oh, Erica, people don't want to live in the South. They don't live in Georgia. Atlanta's too crowded. They don't live in South Carolina. I go, yeah, but where else would they want to live that's similar to a city? DC, Maryland, Baltimore.
Yep,
like
absolutely.
These are still cities. And so what are some of the things about Baltimore that make it a city? Like, if you could break it down for me.
Yeah, so Baltimore, there's a lot of things that bring people to Baltimore. Obviously, you're almost equidistant between DC and Philadelphia, right? New York isn't, but a few hours away. So from a location perspective, it's awesome. But even beyond that, you have all of the incentives to have people move in. So you have tons of grants. It's very common nowadays for a smart home buyer to walk away from the table with cash, right? Because they're leveraging Baltimore City grants, they're leveraging all kinds of stuff. Live near where you work. There's a ton of businesses and employers here who will give you almost 20 grand going towards buying homes near where you work. There's just so many incentives to live here, on top of the fact that property and home values are so affordable when you compare to DC, which is 45 minutes to an hour away. And so what you're seeing now, especially when it comes to folks that live in DC, which, you know, everyone knows how quickly the home prices and things have gone down there, you're seeing more and more people live in Baltimore and and commute from Baltimore to DC to work every single day on the trains and everything like that. You have people like my man, Mr. Musk, trying to get these 30, 15-minute, whatever trains to go from DC to Baltimore, which is just going to expedite that whole process. But you see so many people moving into Baltimore, just taking advantage of all of those incentives, the low property values, and you're just like a hop, skip, and a jump from DC, which, you know, is where the government is, and it's the biggest employer in the country, right? So people are coming from all over the place just to be in Baltimore, because we do have everything. People talk about Baltimore. People, you know, they talk about The Wire. You know, that gets me.
What's The Wire?
That's me. No. Oh my gosh. So you have that side, but then you have people who come to Baltimore and get to know the city and get to know all that's here. And you find out that there's concerts here all the time. There's, you know, tons of great, amazing places to eat. Oprah just named Baltimore one of the top places to visit, and talked about different like places you can go check out and restaurants and all that good stuff. It's just a really dope city if you give it the chance and look past the reputation of The Wire and the news.
You know, Andre Hatchett came on. We had a talk about Baltimore maybe 2 years ago, and he brought up some really great points. He said, think about it. You know, when you have somewhere that has bad news and then all of a sudden it has good news years later, it's because people that heard the bad news came in and scooped up when stuff was cheap, right? And when you heard about like dollar houses in Baltimore, people are like, oh, I would never live there, right? But the investor mindset is it's bad right now, but in a couple of years, they've already planned this city to be probably a whole new city. You're not going to live here, right? Like as Asia say, like you leave Detroit, you probably won't come back because you can't afford to.
Absolutely.
And I see that. I really seriously, like, I keep trying to get people to see the bigger picture of what's happening in our economy right now. Yeah, I'm in Austin and people are like, oh, you're just in Silicon Valley of Texas, you know? But what I see employers doing, instead of you complaining about traveling to work and wanting a raise because you got to travel to work, they're going to push more remote work. So when people go, oh, I can live wherever and not have to travel, like, oh, and I love that you say the part about it being equal distance from Philly to DC, because what's going to happen is people are going to move for where the home's cheap, period. Like at the end of the day, the trend for early retirement, the FIRE movement, all that is you have to have housing make financial sense. If you can't afford $1 million house down the street in DC, like you're not going to do it, right? You're just not going to do it. Or if you, even on top of the other trends that are going on, like stay-at-home moms went up 13% in the past 10 years. What does that come from? People are like, yo, I want less. I'm going to live at closer to my home, or I'm going to work from.
Childcare is expensive as hell. So you start to compare, you know, your potential income with how much you're going to be paying out on daycare. You find out that for a lot of people, one person is going to work just to pay for daycare. It's not a game. And I think that's probably a lot of why people are starting to homeschool more often. And it's more common. There's so many
there's so many
resources now.
In North Carolina, say what you will about North Carolina, because somebody was joking on North Carolina the other day saying we still say colored. Okay, I see you, Florida. North Carolina has some of the highest homeschoolers in the nation and the highest number of private schools. So what's happened is, if you look at the numbers, even among Black people, there's 100,000 new Black homeschoolers. That comes out of like the school system not being for your child, not working to your best benefit. So for y'all to satisfy an ideal, I want to, if you guys could in the comments, there's almost 100 of y'all in here, drop how much childcare is a week. Because I hear all kind of numbers, but you guys are in so many different cities. What's childcare a week in your city? Please drop it in the comments. And I know it's a 30-second delay when I read the comments, but drop it in the comment section. How much is childcare for 1 week in your city? Because sometimes all people say, well, I got little babies, it costs thousands of dollars, or I got big kids, it only costs this much. But
yeah, I'm trying to think of how much it was in different phases for Michaela, because she definitely went to school. I'm not the stay-at-home mom type, so she
will watch herself, y'all.
Michaela definitely will watch herself.
She makes sandwiches.
Actually, she did make herself a peanut butter jelly sandwich yesterday. But I'm trying to think. Like, we definitely paid like $1,500-$1,600 a month on childcare for her at one point. Especially when they're really little, because when they're infants, it's super expensive. It's so hard to keep up with.
Okay, y'all dropping prices and keep dropping them in. I'm gonna read them. I mean, because this is what I'm seeing. Like, and the reason I tell people to read a lot of books, Charles Ogilvie and me always talk about the books we read or whatever on the channel, is because look at the trend. Okay, you got all these people coming out of California, all these people coming out of New York. They're gonna do what? They're gonna move into smaller cities, and then even then, I was telling about here in Georgetown and Round Rock are like the number 3 fastest growing town in the United States. I'll meet people, and there's a black couple that came from California, and they opened up a brewery in this very white part of Texas, and it be packed. Nobody cares. People be like, this is so great. They brought this here. In their mind, they're thinking we saved so much money by coming here and we own the whole building. We own the 2 buildings beside it and rent it out, you know, like they're very much enjoying the transition. And because a lot of times I brought on Casino as his name, and he was like, well, everybody from my small town moved to Atlanta, you know, for work. I said, yeah, but people with money and people that work remotely, they're going to move to where those people are.
Right.
Smaller environment, more control.
Absolutely. And you have the freedom, right? You're able to better manage your money and be able to make better decisions. If you are, you know, forced to live in a more expensive city, then you're living paycheck to paycheck and bringing it kind of all the way around to the furlough. If you're putting yourself in a financial position where you have options and you can put money aside, so if, you know, the government shuts down, you're more on vacation than trying to struggle figuring out what it is that you're going to do. If you're able to put that emergency savings over to the side and prepare yourself for things like this, because this happens. It's not like it's the first time the government's been shut down, right? It shuts down every couple of years.
Look, people are talking about Obama did this too. I was like, why y'all won't leave Obama alone? Leave Obama alone.
He ain't worried about y'all. I don't know why they worry about him. But so, I mean, I just feel like this is a reminder to a lot of people that you have to have a plan B, C, and D, and stop relying so heavily on, you know, trading your time for money for somebody that at the end of the day can lay you off, furlough you. They shut down the whole company and now you got to go, you know, there's so many different what ifs, and we put a lot of stock in jobs that is not as safe as people would like you to think it is. And I think right now is a really great reminder of that.
Bam. Okay, you guys, thank you for following instructions. There's so many questions in here. I'm going to ask them. Give me a minute. I thank you. Chicago in the building. T. Kelly says she homeschool. Free range kids. Hey, that's what Michaela is. She's free range, baby.
Pretty much.
Tanya Poe said $460 a week. Clifton Burns said between 100 and 200. I think Clifton's in Alabama. You know, somebody said 300 to 500 a week for a newborn in Maryland. Here in Houston, you'll spend $1,400 a month easy. So 150 to 200 a week. Listen, $1,400 a month is some people's paychecks, yo. Like for real.
Exactly.
190 a week for my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old. Thank you, Natasha. 400 to 500 in Cali could be more for a little baby. Thank you, T. Kelly. Somebody said 150 Metro Detroit. $360 a week. This person said, when I was in the childcare business from the early 2000s, it was 150 to 200 a week. From what I hear now, it's 300 a week. Los Angeles. Wow. Joseph said, yeah.
Kids are expensive. It's not a joke.
Joseph Williams said 1,300 a house daycare. Oh, wow. But a business daycare, 1,500 a month. He's talking about a month. And then, you know, basically 500 a week. Solid Steps to Wealth said 1,500 a week, and that was when she was in Seattle. Woo! Maroon Beauty said, I better go get back my childcare license.
For real. I mean, I have friends who have childcare businesses, and when I tell you she jet sets all the time, she has like her whole team now. Every time I look up, she's in another island or doing something, having a good old time.
Baby formula money. Just
I'm telling you, I mean, stacking it, because them kids is expensive, child.
See, I think this is the stuff they should teach at high school. Like before you leave high school, that senior, junior, a lot of kids are dropping out in 10th grade. Well, in Texas, it's just the Hispanic kids. Black people are at like an all-time 94% graduating high, right? No matter what you hear in the news, we had an all-time high graduating. Yeah. miss me with that, right? But from 10th grade to 12th grade, you need to start every week telling these people, average job pays you 30 grand a year, and childcare costs this much. So if you buy yourself, don't do it. Okay, I'm just it's just good birth control trade.
between how much kids cost, how to balance a budget, and how to look up what potential salaries are for jobs. Because I have tons of freshmen or seniors who are looking at different colleges. Private schools cost $60,000 a year, but they want to be in social work, right? There's nothing wrong with being in social work.
You just ain't gonna get paid.
Right. So you're going to need to repay those loans. So let's make sure that we're balancing all those things too. There's so much stuff they should teach in high school. It's crazy.
Yeah, people talking about they killing it as a daycare owner. Listen, my mom and my sisters right now, I'm like, look, let's go ahead and open. Let's get some bundles for sale. Let's get some hair care products for sale. Let's get a daycare. Let's do all of it. My sister and them, I'm telling you, like, there's so many scams. You guys email me scams weekly, and it's hilarious. But thank you, because it's gonna make a show later this week talking about these scams. Because I'd be like, they could just do 2 more steps and be a real business. What the hell? So before I get into some of these questions about real estate that they've put up here for you, where are you guys now? Like, what are your current investments? Just for the record. So every show, I'm gonna ask this because we have new subscribers every time.
Absolutely. So we have 20 rental units. We have a block. So we have, in the last couple months, we've had up to 7 flips we're managing at the same time of our own. And we have a lot of different things in the cooker as well that Chloe would kill me if I talk about. But those are the properties and the things that we have going on right now that we're.
They got Cambodia workers living in the back of their yard. They got a Chinese food restaurant. They got
you never know. We sell a couple bundles. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, Clifton Burns put in the comment section, bundles and Swisher sweets.
You got to stop, Clifton. That's enough. That is enough out of you.
But we are not owning a gas station, but if we did, probably. Somebody said here in the suburbs of Boston, you have to pay $3,500 for K1 and K2 public schools. Private schools.
That doesn't even make sense. Oh, okay.
Private schools. Okay. Holy crap. Well, you know what? Boston is like, when I keep seeing house prices for Boston, I'm seeing like $1,000. I'm at $1 million for a house. And some of the old houses in Boston that, got that unique turn of the century Pullman. People be like, they're beautiful, but they always have a lot of drama.
Yeah, well, we started in Hartford, Connecticut, so that same kind of era where you have Hartford. Like dun 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 dun. So you have like those super old homes, but what's really cool about up there. I'm not sure about Boston, but up there those houses were so big that there's tons of multis. So I actually really enjoyed investing up there.
Well, they also too have that old boarding house effect. If you look at the turn of the century, especially from Europe, that whole boarding house thing was a real thing. Like I'm saying this, and this is not to be offensive, but like a lot of families had like a homely sister or like a family member that wasn't going to get married, and they were like to help. And so you had these really big houses, and that was like all these books and references I read, it's always like, yes, my sister who was a teacher, when she couldn't teach anymore, she became the house help or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
But that if you read those,
the old maid, that's where it comes from. The old maid.
And like even when we're in Detroit and we walked up that stairway at that house in Mexico Town, that stairwell was for the help. Okay, that was not for the front of the house. That was for the old maid on the back side of the house.
I know it's kind of weird, but I really enjoy those kinds of houses. And there's a ton in Baltimore too, because Baltimore's a really old city. So we had looked at this house that we were looking to invest and move into a house ourselves. And there was that back staircase and a whole separate entrance. And what was so funny, it was an old white man that was showing us the house, and he was like tiptoeing around it. He was like, well, this is for the, trying to help, or, this is just old. This, it's an old house. We're like, we got it, sir. Slave quarters, done.
Well, even in the South, like you'll drive by places and they're like, oh man, those like old slave houses. I'm like, no, those are actually just the poor white trash who live in those. Those aren't even old enough to be slave houses. And people be like, Erica. I'm like, our family will own them too and rent them right back out. We ain't even worried. Right. Like,
Right.
Like people be in there with space heaters. I'd be like, if y'all don't stop for this house burn down, okay? Let me go. Okay, let me go. So everybody, you heard that? 20 rental units. They got a whole block. Somebody asked, do y'all plan on selling the block? And you got 7 flips.
Yeah. So the block project, we're selling a portion and probably going to keep some of the last ones. So we're going to go ahead and raise the property values of everything there, and then save one and hold on to all the equity and rent it out. So yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture.
Yeah. So again, there is, out of all that, buying the block and all that stuff, what are you most proud of?
One thing, it's a huge undertaking, right? So just being able to push through the fear of actually doing it, right? Like obviously we've done a bunch of houses and we've done a lot of projects, but something about this one pushed us to another level from so many different perspectives, from just understanding where we're going, from transitioning from an investor to a developer, how we approach things. And really now we have the city reaching out to us to do more things. We have a lot of things underway just off of the strength of doing the block and buying the block. And I think it's really cool that it's become something that's so inspiring to other people, which was part of the point, right? We could have very comfortably lived off of our rentals, but doing this project, one of the reasons why we wanted to was to be able to show and say, if we can do this stuff, you can too. And we said that every time we got a rental, right? And we got up to almost 20 or getting to 20 and saying, we can do it. If we can do it, you can too. And people could hear it. But when we bought a block, we're like, okay, if we can do that, like you can at least get a rental, right? So it's kind of like, leveraging, putting ourselves out there to help inspire and motivate other people to get into real estate as well.
I like that. I feel like y'all should lay in the middle of the street and take a picture. Even though the street dirty, you'd be like, just
right.
Prison poses in the middle of the street.
Like, this is mine.
Hey. I still want y'all to change the street name to Charm City, but
I know.
Petition the city. I will say though, there's several things I want to say, but I will say I can't wait for you to come back when I have the studio. You see how loud this is right here? I'll have the studio in about 2-3 weeks, like right before we go to Miami's or New Orleans or a couple places. I'm gonna have the studio set up. So, anyways, point of the story is, let's get to some of these questions they have. Okay, I didn't forget about y'all. Hold on. There was somebody had a good one. If my neighbor don't go down there and fix that, we're gonna have a problem.
You can't hear it anymore.
Okay, Save Investor Pete said, just opened another used appliance store. I was hoping refunds would have gotten pushed back to give me some time to get stocked up on inventory. Hey, I like the way you think. That's good.
Buy low, sell high. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Where's the other question? Okay. All right. Solid Stuff to Wealth said, hello, Charm City buyers. I'm inquiring about multi-purpose spaces that can be used for residential and businesses.
Mixed use. Yeah. So there's tons of that here in Baltimore. I think it's a really great investment no matter where you are, because it helps to balance your cash flow really well. Usually a commercial space, you have your lease is a couple years. And so you have more stability in your cash flow than in like a standard rental. And a lot of times, depending on who your tenant is, they can pay for things like capital improvements. Like if they have to fix up the space to work for what they're trying to use it for, if it's a salon or something, and they need to add extra sinks, like that is an expense that they'll cover. And sometimes you can also have them pay like part of your taxes. You can do a lot of different things when you have commercial tenants, which helps to better manage your expenses. And then you still have the residential units on top. You live in one too, and you're in that much better of a situation. But yeah, so I'm all about mixed use. I think it's a really great investment. Okay. As long as you have good tenants. You guys screen them regardless. I don't care who it is.
Screen. Listen, y'all, make sure there's 92 or 95 of y'all. Make sure y'all hitting the like button as you come in. Help the channel out. I got about 5 questions from Jabraz. All right, Jabraz, chill. No, I'm messing up. Jabraz says, is the growth in the city or the county?
So that's a good question. So the city, what's happening right now, which is really interesting in Baltimore, is that you have a lot of people from outside of Baltimore moving into the city and people from the city moving into the county. And so with this whole shift in population, it's spurring a lot of change, a lot of shift in culture. But it's also, I don't know, it's just really, really cool and interesting to see. But yeah, so you have people moving into the county for sure, but you have a lot of people moving into the Baltimore City from outside of the areas, which is also adding this huge young professional population that is like killing it right now here. And it's going to change the makeup of the city hugely. And they're buying homes, like they're setting roots here in ways that the people who are moving out did not necessarily, because a lot of those studies show that a lot of those people were renting before. So it's a mixture.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm paying attention to the moves of the population. This is a real deal. Like people are moving from a bigger city, smaller city right. Folks move to a country. You know, like it's even here in Texas. People be like, I used to live in Austin when there were like 20 stoplights. I'm like, bro, that was like 40 years ago. Like,
right.
Or my attention is when I talk to, I'm not gonna lie, when I talk to Black or Hispanic people who've been here 30, 40 years, I'm like, why don't you own a house? Like, you saw the city changing, you saw it getting more expensive. And so by the time people get ready, they got to live out in Manor or Round Rock, which if you're watching the channel, nothing wrong with Manor, nothing wrong with all the Black people living in Manor, nothing wrong with them living in Round Rock. They own very high home ownership, but you're in East Austin. You should have owned everything in East Austin. You should be all multimillionaires. Like Absolutely. You saw it was coming.
Yeah, and what's so sad is that people get so wrapped up in kind of the rumor mill of where they live, and they miss the opportunity. Everyone else sees opportunity, right? When you talk about, and I'm going to use Baltimore as an example, right? When you talk about Baltimore, the first things that comes to people's mind typically are negative. But if you look at what's happening here right now from a development perspective, what's coming here over the next 5 to 10 years, what people have been working on for the last 5 to 10 years, like is 100% different than what you hear about the city. And the fact that CIAA is coming here in a couple of years, that's not an accident. It's part of Obama's fault. It's completely Obama's fault. It's part of kind of this whole renaissance that's happening right now. And the same one that Charm City Buyers has been talking about for years, saying, don't say we didn't tell you, because it's definitely like now is the time, or actually a couple years ago was probably really the time, but you can't deny what's happening here right now. And then you have opportunity zones and all of that kind of stuff that's just going to continue to just monumentally change the city. Baltimore is not going to be the same in a couple of years, period.
I'm going to hit you on the CIAA. Let me finish these other two questions. DeBrash also put, are row homes the way to go or detached?
So Baltimore has a crap ton of row homes in most parts of the city, but there are areas where you have detached. I think that usually it kind of depends on what it is that you're trying to do. Like it's just part of the makeup here. You're going to have row homes. We have row homes and detached homes, right? We have them both. What's most important is, what do the houses around it look like? It doesn't really matter if it's a row home or a detached. Are there a ton of boarded up vacants? That might be a better question. Thinking about where to buy than if it's detached or a row home. Here in Baltimore, I don't think it really matters as much. The only difference is the places that have detached homes are usually in like the outskirts of Baltimore City. And so their property values might be higher. For a lot of different reasons, the school districts might be a little bit better. Like it kind of depends. But at the end of the day, they're both part of the makeup of Baltimore. Row homes are just a lot more plentiful.
Okay, prime example, what you're saying. Hey, Asia, Denison, or Charles Ogilvie can get at me, but I'm gonna say this: when you're investing in Detroit, everybody's like, "Oh, this price is so low." No, show me the whole street. What does the street look like? Because you're not gonna get quality tenants when it's a bunch of boarded up. You may be careful, but you may get a bunch of Section 8, and that's fine. But I would rather have families who want to come live on a street because the street is nice, and then they stay longer because the street is nice, right? I think people really go, oh man, it's so cheap. I get these dollar homes in Baltimore, which I know they ain't $1, but the street, like, what does the rest of the street look like if it's for $1?
You have to look at the big picture, especially in Baltimore. Like, I won't speak to Detroit. I know Asia is the expert in Detroit, and she can speak to it until her face turns blue. But here in Baltimore, you absolutely have to look at the whole picture. And not only does it impact kind of who would be interested in living in the home if there's tons of vacants and all that kind of stuff, it also impacts your rent value. Like, you're not going to be able to charge as much. It impacts for us here in Baltimore. You can't rent to Section 8 when there's a ton of boarded up houses because they won't let you. They look and say you can't have more than 1 or 2 boarded up houses on the street to get Section 8. So they're even regulating that. So yeah, you definitely have to look at the bigger picture. And in Baltimore, you might have a street that's completely vacant next to another block that's all renovated, and their rents might be $1,200, $1,400, $1,500. But on your street, the next block over, you're not gonna get but $650 because of the quality of the community. Like, what are you doing? So you have to know what you're doing, bruh. Like, shut it down.
Okay, listen,
shut it down.
Here's my thing. Here's my theory. If you're a person saying, and this is why I think the block by the block is such a big concept. Mm-hmm. If you are saying, oh, Erica, I got this house off auction for $1,000. Like, even when I was talking with Asia, I was going through the auction, buildingdetroit.org, whatever. And I was like, okay, if 3 in a row are messed up, I want all 3. So then at least I can cut the front yard, clean it up to a degree. And then as I'm working on 1, 2, 3, you know what I'm saying? Or like have it so the 2 on the outside are getting worked on, and then I make the 3rd one in the middle look like I'm doing something to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we bought the block, what happened was we knew that there was a ton of development coming because we stayed very in tune with what's happening in the city and from a development perspective. So we knew some things that were going on. We had done some marketing, talked to a seller, found out he had a house that was over where like it was about to pop off. So we got that one.
Or like good.
No, it's not the wire. So I'm not playing with you. So we had so we got that one, and then we knew that the other houses around it, like you look to the left, you look to the right, you look across the street, the houses are a mess. So we're like, all right, well, if we're going to do this one, we have to do all of them. And that's essentially what happened, because you have to control, I'm not playing with you, Erica. You have to control the narrative and be able to set your own comps is what we're doing, and build your own community. Like, it was dead center in the middle of just like there's just a ton of stuff going on over there. So we just bought the whole thing. But you have to. If we would have just bought one, we would have got screwed. So you have to kind of get it all. Otherwise, you're putting yourself in a pretty difficult position.
I'm glad you went over that, because the reason I say that, other than me laughing over here, that's why I had to take myself off screen. The reason I laugh so hard is a lot of people on bigger pockets will sit here and oh, the street. But what they're doing is they're looking for a cheap house and not considering the whole neighborhood. If you're going to buy in a cheap neighborhood, don't be over here listening to BP. Go buy multiple homes or go talk to people like Kyara, because I went and looked up some stuff in Baltimore, me and Dre, and I was like, Dre, we need to ask Kyara because this looks cheap, but there's a reason it's cheap, okay?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I get so tired. They're like, but the house is $5,000. I'm like, yeah, but the rehab is $160,000. So you're getting what you pay for.
And like, people don't, when people be like, man, you can get a house in Detroit for $500 taxes. Okay, but how much is it to repair it? Right. And I don't mean, I want to use that word, ghetto repair it, or
lipstick jobs is what you're supposed to say.
Yes, lipstick tape, like, oh, I just painted a wall or two. No, like, actually repair it so it's quality and you have tenants who want to stay a long time.
Yes. Can I get on a soapbox on this though?
You sure can.
So there are so many people who will buy a house and say, all right, I bought this house, and do those lipstick jobs. There's, little put us a paint on the wall or whatever because they bought the house for $5,000, and put a tenant in it because you want to start getting income. I guarantee you are going to kick yourself in the butt for skipping all those corners and cutting all those corners. And now you have a tenant who's pissed off, calling you every day because everything isn't working. Nothing's working. The hot water heater went up the first day, all this other stuff. When you buy an investment property, do the work before a tenant moves in. You are going to save so much of a headache. There's nothing worse than having to do some huge repair job while someone's living in the home because you didn't do what you need to do before someone got in there. That's just, it's one of the, I think everyone gets very excited with their first rental property. Like, I want my first check, or I want to start getting a return. Put the money in up front. Don't cut the corners, and just get done everything that you need to get done. And then it becomes a more passive situation where you're just collecting your rent checks versus a very active every single day of a tenant calling me, complaining about something. I got to send maintenance over every 5 minutes, and it's not worth the headache. Do the work before a tenant moves in. Don't rush to the payments because you're going to get kicked in the ass later anyway.
And the reason I bring that up is so many people go, well, you know, they're not moving in with granite countertops in the hood, but it doesn't matter because if people watch HGTV like all weekend long and they go, well, they could have fixed this and they could have fixed this in the place before I moved in. And people know if you make cheap renovations, like I've actually walked places where the carpet was so cheap. I was like, you cannot expect any quality tenant. Like, and I'm not knocking anybody for cheap carpet, but I'm saying when the carpet is like, look like a cafeteria, or it looks like some cheap stuff you would not even put in your own home, like people feel that, right? If you're not even replacing blinds or just the basic stuff really bothers me because it says, I don't care about this property. Like you get basics.
There's definitely a difference between retail grade, like you're going to sell the house, and rental grade, right? Because there's also, there's a diminishing return at some point, because if you put in granite countertops and somebody puts something on it that stains it and you got to replace the granite countertop, that's not fun, right? So it's okay to balance between understand there's a renter and making sure that you're doing quality work so you're not going to continuously have issues. Like there's definitely a happy medium, but you got to find it because there's things that you got to do, and there's, and tenants mess up stuff. So you got to find the balance between the two.
All right, I see y'all got some more questions. I'm getting to them. This is the last one from Jabras. Do you syndicate?
I know. Don't shut them up.
Jabras over here.
Let him ask his questions.
All right. Do you syndicate, or can investors invest with your projects?
Yeah, so we do a lot of different things with other people's money in putting together how we finance and pay for our deals. So we do have private lenders that we've worked with. We have some things in the cooker that will probably do some syndication stuff. But there's definitely capital stacks in some of our larger projects where we're able to leverage different sources of funds to purchase our properties.
Yeah, they're gonna send me a check. We're gonna get this.
Come on.
They're gonna get their Grant Cardone capital on. All right. So here's another question. How do you offer more training? Mr. Fiber Optics, her links are at the top of the chat. I will put her links in more. Name some of your courses for them, please. And then I have
so we have one of the classes is OPM is King. So around that, other people's money is king. So how some of the different sources that we've used to put deals together, leveraging someone else's funds. So that's a class. We have a class on opportunity zones, which I think Chloe will be back on. He talked about before. We'll be back on later this week to talk about opportunity zones. So so we have that one that just kind of makes sure that you guys know exactly what that is, because people be saying stuff and they just be so wrong. And another masterclass for people who actually want to start funds or invest in funds. We have classes on all kinds of stuff. We just came out with a class to celebrate hitting 15K on Instagram, where folks can, it's called Flipping for Maximum Profits, where you get like a tool that we created to analyze our flip deals. We had a bunch of different things out there. Next Gen is our 10-week intensive on investing in Baltimore, which is like all things Baltimore, get into the details and the nitty gritty on investing here in Baltimore, so you understand like the neighborhoods, the landscape, the houses, the rehab, the tenants, leasing, specifically here, where you get like all of our docs and all of our resources, and it's actually really crazy. So that's another thing. But yeah, there's a ton of different ways to work with us and learn from us.
Okay, so then we have someone said zip codes are important. Kamala Robinson.
It's not even zip codes are important, because zip codes are actually less important blocks are important, right? You can have one zip code where there's a ton of really, really nice properties and areas, and then you have that same zip code that has areas that you shouldn't touch at all.
I will say,
shouldn't say that, but
no.
It's just not zip code to zip code.
I will say the South. Let me say this just for everybody watching. If you go, I would say Virginia down. Honestly, Virginia down, zip codes matter. If you go Virginia up, you're talking about cities that are on grid systems. And I know this may bore some of y'all, but historically,
right,
a grid system. So block by block is almost equivalent to zip code by zip code, because we can be in North Carolina and I tell somebody I only invest in that zip code. Someone from New York will be like, I don't understand, the house is cheap over here. But we don't invest in that zip code. That's another part of the town we don't invest in. When you're in Virginia up, and even parts of Virginia, I know somebody from Virginia like, blah, 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 blah. Look, when you come watch the replay, don't get on me. Virginia up, you're talking about block by block. Asia says this. People from Ohio, I bring on the channel, say this. People from Connecticut, we've had 2 people from Connecticut on here. They've said the same thing. It's block by block. So just the wordage is different, but pay attention, because some people are going to say, well, Erica, I know this zip code. Not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying Virginia down, that matters. Virginia up, ask people about blocks, because I've had a lot of little you guys wholesalers emailing me about properties you have in Baltimore. Don't make me send them to Kyara. I'm going to show Kyara what y'all been sending.
And I will fire you up. I promise.
I've been on Google Maps and I was like, no, you didn't. No, you did not. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. Angela East, do you buy your rentals with cash or private money?
It depends. Depends on the deal. Depends on a lot of different things. We analyze each of our deals individually. But yeah, sometimes we'll buy with cash. Sometimes we'll buy with other people's money. I'm big on to leveraging other people's money too. I like to, keep my cash for what I want to use it for. And so it depends.
Okay. Thank you. That's very nice. So
you're welcome.
This one, I know who you're talking about because I accidentally used to tag them instead of Charm City Buyers on accident. A company named Charm City Housing offers renovations and may place a veteran in property. Are you familiar with them? Have you ever worked with them? It's literally.
I think they're talking about Charm City Builders. I'm assuming is who they're talking about. Charm City Builders is a renovation company. Mm-hmm. And let's see. Offers renovation may place a veteran in property. Are you familiar with them? No, I haven't worked with them. No, that's not Charm City Builders. Charm City Housing. I don't know what you're talking about. So no, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've actually tagged Charm City Builder and be like, thank you, but I was like, oh, my bad. How do you handle evictions in Baltimore?
I handle them quickly, swiftly. No, so we have internal resources that we use to handle evictions. We are we don't do cash for keys as often as you may think. But we will, we are late on the 4th, evict on the 5th, or file on the 5th. But what we've learned over the years is how to better screen our tenants, where we're not doing that very often anymore, to be completely honest, which is why we haven't done cash for keys very much either. It's like we've been able to really get smart on who we choose to move into our houses. And then when something does happen, because things happen, they usually our tenants will reach out to us, we'll have conversations, we'll kind of try to figure things out and then part ways more amicably, because I think they respect us because of the relationships we've built. So we don't have to evict as often as we had in the past. Usually the evictions are houses that we will manage, because we do some property management beyond our 20, and usually it's their tenants that get evicted because they're in there before we took over. So
gotcha. Listen, I don't know who is faxing the Briel credit repair fax machine, but stop it. The machine keeps printing. What are y'all faxing me? Fax the other office. If you have both numbers, fax the other office. Okay, just in case they see it. Seriously, I don't know if you can hear the fax.
I can hear it, but you need my fax where it just goes to your email. I didn't even know they still have old school fax machine. Why are you printing from a fax?
I love the old style because here's why. If I fax stuff sometimes to attorney offices, like they remove stuff off the credit ASAP. I'd be like, that's
so.
Well, but you can still iFax. You can still e-fax and iFax. And we have like 5 numbers. Let's keep it 100. We have to keep so many numbers because the credit bureaus can block your number. So anyway, just a little credit tip. If you're faxing the credit bureaus, like trying to get that off there, they'll be like, block.
Oh,
so
dang.
faxing something and nothing's going through. A little tip, you're welcome. Free tip for anybody out there in the credit bureau.
Oh,
so that's why we have two old school faxes, one here, one in the other office, and then 3 or 4 fax numbers.
But like, if it breaks, do you have someone that can fix it? Like, do they still repair those? Like, is that like a real thing?
Listen, IBM and Brother, they like still holding on. They like, send it to us. We'll send you a whole new one. So.
Oh my gosh.
Small. It's so
funny.
Small. It's like this big. It's literally like so tiny. Okay. Our Mr. Fiber Oxford said 203 TA loans for commercial properties.
Does it mean 203K? 203 TA for commercials? I don't think. Yeah, I think it means K2. Those are for residential. You'll probably need a commercial loan, although because of the mixed usage. But 2 or 3Ks, you can get up to 4 units for residential units, but I don't think they'll do mixed use.
Okay, Angela East is about to say something that is so spot on. Angela East, we wish we would have invested in the 3rd ward of Houston about 10 years ago. Houses were 20K then. Now you find some over $1 million. Let me tell you about this. I have a friend, him and his husband, okay, we'll leave it at that, went over to this area and bought a house. But when I was going there, I was telling people from Houston, I'm going over to this neighborhood. They're like, oh, it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous over there. Don't go over there. And I'm like, my friends just renovated a house. Tell me why I get over there and they're in the 3rd ward by the U of H school. The whole row is renovated houses. Like it's them, it's some other doctors, it's some other student. Like people in their own city don't know what they're talking about. This is why I did a video a couple weeks ago, and I'm not trying to get hot with y'all, but when I start naming off other cities, I probably know a little bit more about your city than you think, because I literally have about 100, maybe 100 clients where I've had to work in different states, trying to find them deals and trying to connect them with turnkey companies and other like up and coming companies. And so when people try to tell me, oh, Erica's dangerous over there, you don't know what you're talking about. I probably already researched it with another client and we found them something in that area. So she's spot on. Even 5 years ago, when they first got out there, this is 5 years ago, they were still buying. People were still like, you ever hear the thing, you will be moved, gentrification?
Mm-hmm.
They were offering Black people, most of Black people, sorry, 30K to leave, right? And a lot of times people were renting the houses out to, let's be honest, Louisiana folks in that part of Houston and a lot of islanders in the 3rd ward. Those were the only people kind of moving there because it was cheap. And they're like, oh, the violence. And I'm like, they just want cheap housing in Houston. They just want cheap housing. So people were selling their grandma house for 30K. And now those same areas, they can never get back in there, girl.
Oh, absolutely.
$1 million.
We have areas like that here in Baltimore that are really controversial because basically they put people out, right? They either gave them money to leave or whatever. And now they did this whole survey to basically investigate whether it was predatory, almost how they pushed folks out of the neighborhoods. And folks are saying, well, yeah, I want to come back in. So now that same organization has to help them like come back into Baltimore. But that's really common, like them pushing folks out and giving them money to you. But if you would have like held on just for a little bit longer, you went from getting a house taken from you for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 that are now being sold for $300,000-$400,000.
I'm telling you, listen, y'all got some good stuff in here. I got
Kiamani said, call it what it is. Low-income families are running to the county because they think it's better. But that's the narrative here in Baltimore. Like, it's so funny because you'll hear people talk about Baltimore and say, terrible things about it. The same time that all of these developers are building luxury condos, right? You got to see that there's some kind of dichotomy there that don't quite make sense. If it's that bad, why are all these people moving here? Right. And so but that's true. A lot of people are moving out into the county because of schools and, wanting it to be safer in the county. But I mean, and the city is also incentivizing a lot of the programs like Section 8, and there's another program called BHRP, and they are prioritizing Baltimore County. So if you're new to the program, you have to live in the county. You can't even use your voucher in the city. So it's systematic how they're moving folks out of like the city too, but that's a whole nother conversation about politics.
I know. See, and I was going to say, I know somebody's commenting about the grid. I'm going to get to you. I see you.
Yep.
But even so, what I'm trying to get y'all to see is, again, Houston doesn't have building, like they're starting to now, but Houston is the type of city, they did not realize they were going to become the LA of the South. And I know people hate it when I say that, but it's the truth. So they have buildings thrown up in between houses, thrown up in between daycares, thrown up, like it's crazy madhouse down there. And what's happened over the years to try to get some order in that bad boy, they're trying to now retroact and go do this. Like even I had Money Mandu on. He wanted to buy this apartment. It was like an old hotel that had been turned to apartment. They were like, bro, you can't do that. That's only going to be commercial. We getting rid of that one way or the other. And they did. They demoed it. And so that he couldn't get that deal. And that's the thing. You have when you have cities in the South, again, I'm telling you, we're not on a grid. We're not on a we don't even know how to make grids down here. We don't know what we're doing. Okay. We didn't have enough Irish and the English people to come down south and be like, this is how you do it. So we have stuff just thrown up everywhere. Like you'll go to some cities in the South, you get to the 32nd Street, everything downtown is like poor, poor, poor. And then everything outside that is neighborhoods. Let's just say it that way. So I know some people gonna come for me on the grid conversation, but I'm trying to get you to
But
see.
it's true. That's architectural facts. Like yes, it's history. It's architectural history.
So, okay, there is, I'll put this one in. D-Lo 87. Hi, hey, beautiful ladies.
Hey.
We'll put that in the show. Hey, David Porter, you're right, Erica. I'll put that in the show. Chaco 844 said, I don't even know how to say that. Do you have to live in a home to buy at auction on Building Detroit website? No, you do not. No, you do not. Read the building.detroit.org. Go check it out. You do not. Trent Davis said, what makes Baltimore hot? Apple Mac, thank you for posting those links.
Oh yeah, shout out to you, Apple Mac.
Because you know I want to get my pennies here. No. What makes Baltimore hot?
What makes Baltimore hot? So there's a lot of things that have made Baltimore hot, like its location. There's a lot of charm in Charm City. So the architecture of the homes are really beautiful. So someone else had mentioned it, Jay Swiss or something, I don't know, but he that person said something about how beautiful the homes look after renovation. So there's a lot of charm in the homes once you renovate them. Property values are relatively low for investors. Rental income or rental values are relatively high. So if you have low property values and high rental income, always a great situation for an investor. And right now, what's coming and why Baltimore is going to continue to be hot is all of the home buying incentives. And the fact that such a strong percentage of Baltimore is in an opportunity zone, which is going to bring a lot of dollars here because folks who build these huge opportunity funds are going to be able to spread the wealth all over the place.
Trickle down economy.
right.
I'm careful.
Yeah. So Baltimore's going to be hot and stay hot for quite some time.
Okay, so we got some more. I'm through her opportunity zones link in there, and also the Baltimore meetup in there, which they're having on my birthday. So disrespectful.
We're celebrating your birthday. We're gonna celebrate everybody's birthday. Come get a drink with us. We'll take you out for your birthday.
All right, so you guys got some good questions in here. Okay. Amber Marcel Consulting Group. That's a very unique name. I just left the DMV. I don't want to fix and flip. Lease option is my thing. What's knowledge of the laws? Baltimore is hot. The last port that is not expensive. It's the last port.
The fact that people forget about Baltimore being a port here. So there's like a lot of things coming in and out. You got the cruise ships and all that stuff. Baltimore, that port situation is going to be very interesting, I think, in the next few years too. But anyway,
oh, look at y'all. Y'all so nice. I'm getting down there. I'm getting to it. I see y'all. Hit the like button. Yes, block matters in Baltimore. There's a big difference between Alexandria, Virginia, and Old District, Alexandria, Virginia. It's the money. Facts, okay? Good information. I love your channel. Thank you, Matt Robertson. True, I am from Alabama. Now I live in Chicago for over 8 years, still learning the grid. I'm telling y'all, it's a whole different concept. You know when they say country miles? Because we be making up shit down here. We be like, yeah, just go down there about 2 miles to your left. Duh, duh, duh. And then you be like, Eric, I drove 17 miles. What happened? I don't know. Country miles. That's where that word, that's literally where that comes from. That term country miles comes out of we're not on a grid down here. So I don't want people to think I'm being like, you're being a smart ass, but I'm really trying to tell y'all, like, that's the difference. And when you learn cities, like, I am from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Oh, so you're hurting today? I'm sorry. Clemson gave it to y'all. I don't like South Carolina, but I like them today. BK from the Rockies, he's in Denver. I think the grid that Erica spoke about may be applied to districts or quadrants, northwest, northeast for the DMV, maybe. Close, yeah. You're on it. You know, you using those real estate agent test terms. I see you. I see what you're doing. I like it. Lenise W said, I'm currently looking for my first home/investment property in Northeast Baltimore.
Yeah, it's a good place to look, depending on where you're at. There are actually a lot of detached homes in Northeast.
Okay, look at that. Learn something new every day, right? Ethan Troy, faxing better than mailing for credit repair. Ethan Troy, I sell a credit repair business class. You definitely can go get it. We do a combination. Sign up for that. We do a combination of tactics. You know, we're going to get them either way. They're going to get that work, okay? University of Houston is trying to buy up all of Third Ward. Facts. Look at those houses. Some of the most historic looking ones.
Yeah, and you have universities here in Baltimore. We have universities buying up areas around the schools, and you have hospitals that have historically bought around their hospitals. Like Johns Hopkins owns like all over the place around them. So it's really, you know, it's not a bad investment at all.
You know what, we're gonna do a future show, and I'm gonna pre-map it out. We're gonna do a future show, and I'm gonna pick a bunch of properties around Clemson, because I'm telling you, every year I've been talking about Clemson for 3 years now. Because every year they keep being on TV, winning these championships, like 5,000 more kids sign up. And all the black people be on the news, they putting us out by Clemson. Oh my God. I can't stand it. It drives me crazy. But we're going to do a little show, and I'm going to show I'm going to pick like 4, 7 or 8 or 9 little properties and show you what's around the university, like what's the prices around the university. So I put Johns Hopkins down on my little piece of paper. I put Clemson on my paper. If you think it's more, Howard or something, just let me know, or something in DC. I'll let you review your city
Morgan.
I'll let you pick yours, and I'll let you review those city areas. We'll put some up here, and that's how we're going to do that. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So yeah, there's no zoning in most of those areas. Yeah. Houston is a madhouse, right? Like people in other areas call it ghetto, mostly because they're trying to say something, but also because it is a little bit ghetto now. Six Figure Days, thank you for the $5 super chat. You are the supporter of the show today. Thank you, Six Figure Days. And there's 103 people in here. Hit that like button. Does Charm City Buyers provide consultation for people who have properties?
Yes, I do. So if you go to charmcitybuyers.com, there's a schedule a consult link where you can schedule a call with me, and we can talk through if you have a specific property or specific question. We can go through that on a call.
Kamani Robertson said, what makes Baltimore hot? Monroe Street craps. What is that?
I'm not sure.
I don't even know.
Maybe.
Okay, so Apple Mac said in Atlanta about 7 years ago, they had a bunch of houses right across the street from a golf course off Cascade Boulevard, going for less than $20K. I couldn't buy for lack of knowledge, but now they're almost $200,000. That's bananas. I mean, even when Asia took us to the basketball game, I think you guys already had left on the plane. Literally, we asked her about these townhouses across the street from the stadium. She's like, yeah, at the crash, they were $40K, and now they're $400,000. Like, if you just held on, you were good, right?
Yeah, you have to see the bigger picture. And to do that, you have to be plugged in to know what's coming. Because I'm sure the people who have them now knew what was coming.
Look, Camera Talk 305 said, anybody know some key zip codes or areas to look at and be more? I'm telling y'all, them zip codes, you can use realtor.com and put a zip code in, but I'm just telling you, you might want to go call your girl Charm City.
Right. We actually, next gen this week, we're going through neighborhoods and talking neighborhoods, not zip codes. So fun fact about Baltimore, there's almost 300 different neighborhoods. There's 286, I believe. 386 different neighborhoods in the city. So that's another reason why you don't go zip code, because it can be, 30 different neighborhoods in one zip code. So no, I'm not going to go through.
You ever heard the thing that says knowing is half the battle? We're going to use that here. I'm going to start making wristbands. Knowing is half the battle. I mean, listen. Okay, so somebody said, Choco 844 said, how much money, credit, or score do you need at the minimum to work with Charm City buyers?
I mean, I'm trying to understand the question. I guess that you mean as a private lender, maybe, or yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe you can remix the question.
Yeah, could you re-ask that?
Yeah.
Yolanda said, thank you for letting them know about them country miles. I moved here from NYC to Columbia, about 2 miles down the road, and make a left at the gas station. I'm telling you, your GPS will lie to you. You be at somebody's dirt road, okay? Somebody said, yes, the University of Maryland bought up Lexington Trace area and coming up the street.
Yep, they sure did. University of Maryland, Morgan. There's a lot of different schools that were buying up areas around.
We're gonna make that a part 2 show. She's gonna name show colleges, and I'll find stuff off realtor.com and LoopNet, and we'll show you we'll talk about them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we'll do that. It's a future. Somebody said they're trying to house hack in Baltimore. Ethan Troy said just bought OPM course from Charm City buyers. It's
whoop. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you, Ethan. Oh my goodness. It's terrible. LT Mitten said, I can't wait to get my mom to sell the property to me very soon. University of Alabama and Stillman College is buying up properties near school. Don't buy your mama a house. Where's your mama going after that? That makes me nervous. I'm really concerned now.
Don't put mama out.
Chaco said to invest in Baltimore. Do you mean to work with Charm City buyers like next gen, or to buy with them? Like, that's what we mean. Clarify the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what you're actually asking. I mean, I think, so your credit score, if you want to just buy in Baltimore, your credit score is going to be similar at FHA minimums, what is like 6? It's actually really low. I think it's like 620.
It's 580, but preferably 620, because if you got 580, you're putting 10% down. If you got a 620, you're putting 3.5% down. This is why these numbers matter.
Exactly. And then how much money you need. What's great about Baltimore, like I said before, is there's so many different programs and incentives to help with your down payment and your closing costs, where tons of people are just walking away from the table with money. So if you are smart on how you buy, you might not need as much money as you think, especially if you have a decent credit score.
Okay, so if y'all got any more questions, put them in. But basically, here's my thoughts on the CIAA. And as a North Carolina person, this is probably why I'm going to be a hater. But essentially, North Carolina would not budge on the bathroom law. We basically said, if you're a man, you got to use the man bathroom. If you're a woman, use the woman bathroom. Now, that is not the only reason, but in combination that, honestly, I'm going to talk bad to y'all, CIAA became a thing where white people in town were like, we're leaving. Oh my God, we're going to leave. It's not safe. And Black people came to town from Miami, Atlanta, New York.
It was like, turn up.
It was like, turn up all weekend, rent places, and party downtown. It was so exaggerated that literally we had 17 white bloggers go, I'm white and I'm going to CIAA. It's not that bad. And this white guy, literally, he went to every party. It's a hilarious blogger. If I can find it, I'll post it in the comment section. But he's hilarious because he was like taking pictures everywhere. He's taking pictures of all kind of Black people dressed up. He out there beside the Kappas. He's out there at the basketball game. He had a blast. And he was saying he started checking other white people. He go, why are you leaving town? Oh, it's going to be dangerous. He's like, the violence is never a problem. There's never any problems at the clubs. The police are just out in force because that's what they do, because people are walking all in the street. You know what I mean? And so to me, the reason CIAA is leaving is because y'all come here for the club. Y'all come here for the hotel room. The city of Charlotte makes a ton of money, but the games be empty.
Somebody goes to the game.
There you go. That's my whole point. They ain't nobody here for the game. And the reason, back in the day, in the 90s, your uncles and your male family members went to the games. Like, the parties were the after party. Now y'all make the party the reason to even come. And we sick of y'all. Get up out of Charlotte. Get up out of here, okay?
That's fine. Come on to Baltimore. That's fine. You're more than welcome.
And what's funny is, like, to me, them going to Baltimore is just more proof in the pudding that you have all these people from New York moving down. You have people from Philly moving down. You have people from Connecticut moving down. And what you're having is the people with some money gonna go to them games. Now, they still gonna turn up. they're going to turn up because they close to DC. But again, it's an opportunity lost where, you know, the focus is, this is my, you know, it was a combination factor between the bathroom law, because North Carolina is a good Christian state, and and the economics of it. Like, you can't keep a tournament somewhere where the stands are empty. Yeah, so what is it for the city, but what does it do for the actual tournament? Right. Like they started having, remember when they were jumping on the car?
Get a kickback. Like,
yeah,
can I get a couple dollars?
The tournament should get $1 million off this. The city is, oh my God. She said CIAA is a black rite of passage. I cannot with y'all today.
That's all right. Come to, look, it's not Chocolate City. DC is not the Chocolate City, but Charm City is going to take care of them folk. Come on.
Oh my goodness. Y'all, wow.
Calm down.
Heard Charlotte is side chick capital. Man, stop it.
Oh my gosh.
They had that show, you know, that stupid show, Side Chicks of Charlotte. I was like, and
no,
people were people literally wrote Lifetime and whatever network puts it on. They were like, do not put this on Charlotte. Like,
oh my
real, we're not playing. We're going to sue y'all if y'all put this out. So I think did the show even go through? I don't know. But yeah, you're right. North Carolina, Raleigh and Charlotte battled for years over CIAA, and now the whole damn state lost. Yeah, I know. It's sad because at least in Raleigh, you have 10 colleges in a circle. So other young college students would go. But Charlotte, y'all Negroes thought it was a party, man. I mean, like, y'all ruined the whole point of it. And now neither place gets it. Neither place gets it. It's so wow. Okay, Ethan Troy said, what is a resource we can go find these programs in Baltimore? Like the HUD website?
So the incentive programs that I talked about, where the grants and all that good stuff, you can go to livebaltimore.com. So LIVE Baltimore.com has all the details on all the incentives, grants, and they have a resource on there where you can learn about all those, like, almost $300, all those 300 neighborhoods that I mentioned before. They give kind of an overview of each one.
Well, look, everybody, Kyara has given up her afternoon. Your girl has to go live her life.
I actually got to go get Michaela off the bus in a little bit.
She got to go, y'all. She got children's. Well,
they got babies.
Anyway, so look, thank you for coming on today. You already know this government shutdown got people cutting a fool, but we are here with the answers. Listen, last thing before you go. I said on the other show, people got mad. This poor, he's over the food stamp department. Like, I don't know his official title, but he said, well, these people shouldn't be that concerned over the food stamps getting turned off because they should have supplies. They should have like chicken, rice, and beans. And, and people are like coming for him. I was like, this poor man is probably hiding in his office now because he just said to me, if you're on food stamps, and it is a temporary program. In Texas, you can only be on it for 3 months at a time. I said there's nothing wrong with what the man said. He said get some chicken, get some rice, and get some beans. Like, I thought what he said was okay. You know what I mean? If it's wrong, you let me know, because I thought it was okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess he's making an assumption that they have enough food stamps to be able to stock up in the back of big old bags of rice. I haven't heard that. I don't know. I need to go ahead and read up on that.
I gotta go find it again. But they literally, this poor guy was just saying, like, just in case, this could happen again. Like, you guys should stock up. Like, people are like, how dare him? Kids need fresh vegetables. I'm like, listen.
I mean, what he's saying is everyone should be able to have a stockpile of oodles and noodles. I will say this. For Chloe and I to stay humble, we always make sure we have some oodles and noodles in the house. We keep that stocked. You never know, So I am a big fan of stocking up, but he might have been a little wrong for that. Oh, hey, Angela.
Hey, damn. Okay, Angela. Clap off. Everybody give a clap off for Angela. Drop a 1 in the comments for Angela. She dropped a
$50 out to you, Angela.
Thank you for your nuggets today. See, they love the information you give, okay? They love the information. So
I love coming on.
Feel free to email me. I mean, that's just, thank you. Free feel to email me today, Angela. And let's see, what else we got? That's it, really. He said he not wrong. All races eat chicken. That's right. Everybody eats chicken. If you don't eat chicken, something wrong with you. Okay.
Clue act like he don't eat chicken. Clue get on my nerves with that. I'm like, I'm gonna make chicken tonight. I don't want no chicken. Well, bro, guess who's gonna be hungry today?
Don't he eat Chipotle? What he get at Chipotle? Beef?
Pork? We don't know what he got at Chipotle.
Oh wait, he don't get pork at Chipotle.
He don't get pork. He don't get
pork. Tell him that pork meat touch everything in there.
That counts. If it touches, it counts.
It counts. He said a lot of people say it wasn't wrong. You should stock up. Yeah, I mean, listen. Even the emergency service says you should have 6 months supply of food. So let me find that page.
6 months of food and 6 months emergency fund, and this whole furlough wouldn't make no difference to you, honestly, because it's not like you're not gonna get paid back for the time that you were off.
Well, even then, you have Navy Federal, Chin Fed, and USA. They will pay you. They didn't stop paying people.
This is why you have to stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. Period. Your credit should be together. You have money set aside. You got your chicken, rice, and beans in the corner, just in case. Just in case something goes down. You never know. And if you're really on point, you got a rental property. You have, I know, Erica, you talk about trucks all the time. You have other options. Like, having a job shouldn't be your end all be all, because at the end of the day, you never know what happened. You never know what could happen.
Well, I'm talking about trucks this week because so many people message me, what about trucks? And also my little nephew who's 11 is like, this boy can tell you everything about a truck. It's hilarious. So from our
good.
Anyways, you guys, this is Erica Williams from the Classic Kind blog, author of The Smartphone Millionaire, How to Invest in Real Estate, People and Businesses from the Palm of Your Hand. I have my lovely co-host today. She's hilarious. We'll bring her on for more technical. Next time we're going to go technical and look at
technical. Okay.
We're going to do realtor.com and go a couple houses. We're going to look at the maps like we did before. Good. So tell them where they can find you and other information.
Yeah, so you can definitely follow us at Charm City Buyers on Instagram. We're also Charm City Buyers. I'll be cutting up on the Twitters. And Erica has all the links for the classes for those of you who are looking to learn more and connect with us later. All
right, everybody. Tardy said, think SHTF and prep. Prepper. All right, again. There's Philadelphia people. And thank you, Apple Mac, for posting her links. Her links are below. Again, I will always have her links in the description, in the comment section, but she got to go get her babies. So
yeah, I gotta go get her.
Be good. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.